Hey everyone, how's it going? Since my last video, I've been putting my nose on the grind in the pursuit of improving on digital drawing and 3D modeling. I have other ideas relating to it, things that I'll be keeping close to my chest, which I've learned in life is a good choice to make so that you can handle a reasonable amount of accountability. But during this journey, I've also done some self-discovery through my experiences with gaming and how I feel towards them, how I feel towards certain games with unique reputations of their own, and whatnot. So in the past, I subscribed to a lot of varying opinions while I was forming my own, and as of late, I've been learning to rely more on my own perspective rather than others. But I'd be lying if I didn't notice or glimpse through those opinions, the opinions of others. I suppose you could call it a natural case of curiosity, which is a human thing to do, where we process information subconsciously even if we tell ourselves not to just go in blind. It's inevitable that we bump into some information here and there. When I tried a game from the FPS creator lineup called Crimson Metal, I could tell that it was going to be a rough ride, and it shares symptoms of the engine's limitations, as well as the rough patches in its design, its gameplay, and other things. I knew the risks, and I decided to give it a chance anyways. I didn't like it. The younger me would have resented the time lost, the time wasted. I would have bashed and shitted on this game like any other young and angry person on the internet. But like I had explained in my last video, you can inject or extract value from any kind of game project that you can think of. All games, whether you like it or not, have a source of value in them. For example, I don't like fixed cameras at all. I'm not in love with them and will only tolerate their presence if the rest of the game is good. But my dislike of the camera style doesn't diminish its value. It just simply means that I don't value it in the same way when others do. I don't really care much for the competitiveness of shooters anymore, so whenever I play something like Counter-Strike or any other popular multiplayer game, currently I approach them with a more casual mindset, with complete disregard for my rank or how I'm playing, which is what casual play is. Not caring about how you play like a lot of other people do when they say that they just play it casually. In saying that, my disregard of the competitive aspects doesn't diminish the value of the game's competitive nature. People place different value systems in any game that they come across, even in a game like Crimson Metal. Take another example, like Minecraft. Some people play that game for the solitary exploration of the overworld, or the Nether. Others mod it up and will play with friends on a server. Some might go for the game's more competitive PvP modes. The reasons and the values assigned to a game can go on and on infinitely. But what about playing games that you don't like? Can any value be extracted from that? Of course it can. For starters, you notice the flaws that are unique to the game's design or design methods, or mechanics that just simply don't gel with you. Technical issues? The value from that can be generated from the desire to understand the game better. Find any janky or broken game on the market, or even games that are pretty well polished, and you'll inevitably come across bugs or glitches that you can spot. But can you actually identify the cause? On a surface level, you'll get a piece of the picture. You may even be able to replicate that bug and glitch by repeating an exploit within it. But can you diagnose why the bug triggers in the first place? The investigation and exploration of the game's anomalies that are often in its code base or within other strings of data can generally be the root causes of those bugs and glitches, and you'll often find them in games that you don't like or even hate, or even the opposite. But like I already said, bugs and glitches have different sources of value. Some people might actually enjoy those jankiness. I mean, just look at the Stalker community, for instance. Speedrunners repeatedly exploit bugs and glitches and see them as an element of charm to the games that they have devoted themselves to. And for other people, bugs and glitches can be valuable in the sense of how to identify a game that needs a lot more work, or seeing it as an opportunity to investigate a game further, or just see it as a sign that, hey, you know, these bugs and glitches are too much for me, I'm just going to move on to the next thing. Some people can see it as a very disruptive experience, and I've been there too, and I know what that's like. But in saying that, even the worst aspects of a game can still have a source of value because of varying perspectives within those people that see bugs and glitches in a different way. When you come across bad games or the worst games or mixed games, mediocre games, you're often reading about what's already been said about the game, and The thing is, you really won't know your own answer until you've at least confirmed it on your own end. The same thing can also occur for the best games. When I've played bad games, I've heard stuff like that before I even decided to try the game out. This would seem foolish at first, but remember that I hadn't actually formed my own opinion yet on the matter, and I'm just going in blind here, and that's the key element to this. I've had conversations with other people about Dragon Age Valgard. One person was enjoying it but didn't like some of the aspects behind the game, especially with elements of the storyline having a certain agenda tied to it. The other person outright refuses to play the game and will not be convinced otherwise. So I have two voices with differing opinions, and mine is still undecided because I haven't experienced it yet, and because of that, I'm not going to hop on one side or the other yet, at least until I have an opportunity to give it a chance. Mind you though, this opportunity is only possible if the interest develops in the first place. I don't have an opinion of the game itself because I have not played it yet, and that's a very important distinction to make. I haven't played it yet, so any opinion that I throw towards it will more so just be from the cases of other people and what's been said about it, rather than something that I've experienced myself. When I do finally get around to it, I will know for sure, and the things that I can say will be validated by the experience towards said game. And that's what really matters at the end of the day, is exploring the thing yourself and then forming your own opinions on the matter, giving yourself an independent voice in the process, rather than just joining the rest of the herd. I've read stories of people liking what's been considered among the worst games ever made, bad or mediocre games by the public circle of gamers, popular opinions and whatnot. And in some of these stories, I also found joy and a sense of enjoyment even in something like Big Rigs Over the Road Racing or something like Outriders. The same kind of joy and enjoyment that I find throughout the stories of other people that have played the best games, good or great games, take your pick. I only knew I didn't like Crimson Metal after I gave it a fair shake. I didn't enjoy it and the world hadn't ended. My time was spent, but it isn't necessarily wasted because there is still value in that game that I can extract from it. The game itself was a reminder of a time where people had a dream of making their own FPS game. The same kind of people that didn't come from game developer or programming backgrounds like me. I'm talking about people who work jobs outside of a computer screen or on a computer screen with a different field of work who had dreams in their head of making an FPS game even if it was something really basic. Well, the engine called FPS Creator in the 2000s gave those sorts of people that opportunity, and it gave some of them the confidence needed to carry over to other engines, develop more complex and ambitious games. The value I also found in Crimson Metal was that through the game's rough AI pathfinding, the aggravating hit detection and the stiff movements, is that I could still recognize the efforts that the developer had tried to make with the project. And the thing is, people will shit on your project no matter what you do, and some can't handle that reality. The only thing you can do at that point is just take the good points, take the constructives, and then just move forward to the next project and just hope that you strike gold next time. I don't like the game, but that's okay. The time that I spent on this game wasn't worthless, and neither were the other games from the past that I didn't like. Nowadays, I can look back at them and see the other perspectives, what other people see in them, see through different perspectives that I create myself. It's only after I form my own opinion of the game and have explored it enough that I can invite the thoughts and opinions of other people. I can sift through the thought bubbles and opinions that surround Ultra Kill because I've played that game and love it, and I appreciate seeing different perspectives and thoughts on the game itself, giving me more food for thought. But I won't do something like that for a game such as Dragon Age Valgard, not because I don't like it, but because I haven't played it yet. Years ago though, you would have gotten a different answer where I would have said something along the lines of, I'm not going to touch it, I heard it was shit anyways. I don't really do that anymore because while I sometimes elect to dismiss certain games, the reasonings for that are my own and not necessarily what other people have said. Nowadays, it just comes to a case of just disinterest and not so much, oh, I've heard the game was bad, I'm not going to play it. It's more like, it just doesn't click for me. So, are bad games worthless? Do they have any value at all? Well, maybe only to you might think that. Who knows, the person you talk to next might actually like Outriders, another game that was panned by a lot of people in the gaming community. As someone who hasn't played it yet, all I can say now is that I can't call it. I've heard some stuff about it, but that's about it. Hearsays for me are more like warnings at this point in my life, and part of developing a better understanding towards the type of games you enjoy, or what you enjoy about gaming in general, is developing your own thoughts and opinions at the end of the day. And that's all I wanted to say on the matter. This was a topic on my mind and is more or less a continuation of my last video in another certain point of view, about how the blind exploration of games ultimately made my gaming experience better than if I just read up on every nook and cranny, every thought and opinion ever thrown at the game. All in all, you can dismiss a game all you like and shit on it, but you'll never be able to dismiss the game's value, because values are dynamic. The game will go on without you, whether you recognize that value or not. And the thing that you don't value, the next person will. So even the worst games, the most mediocre games or mixed games, bad games, whatever, anything on the negative spectrum will still have a source of value because other people recognize different things, even in a game like Outriders, or any other game that has been panned heavily by the community. Thanks for watching.
What's up, motherfucker?